Hello, everybody. Hope you had a great weekend. It's Sean Ellis from Eternal X Wolfpack Paranormal. And tonight we have a special guest. It's a co host or a host of her own show, Miss Lady Victoria Darkwood. And she is the host of Paranormal Happy Hour. She'll be coming on here shortly. I'd like to shout out to some of my friends here over the weekend that went to the Spirit of the Spring in Broadhead, Wisconsin. I ran into some of them. Miss Jamie Lynn Keller was there. Paranormal Exposure was there. Eternal Paranormal was there. Bill Walter from that owns Broadhead Manor. I got to visit with him. Richard Van Netta, he was there. Sandy Harris, I've seen her again. And I also met a few new friends there this weekend. Haunted Happy Hour Inc. And also I met Ms. Bree Hollingshed from Remotely Paranormal, and she will be on our show in here in a few weeks as well. So without further ado, I am going to bring on Miss Susan Victoria, aka Lady Victoria Darkwood.
Well, hello there.
How are you tonight?
Good. Your intro is rocking. I was jamming back here.
I do like that intro. It's going to be hard to beat that one for next season. I want to make a new one for it, but
it's rocking though. The music and the melody, it's awesome.
One of the things I really wanted to do with it was actually go out to a cemetery and get each one of the teammates walking out and then having their names with it. And then having like we're here when it showed up. But that's actually pretty good. My cousin.
That's awesome.
So, but I'm definitely going to have him do the next intro as well.
Yeah.
So, Miss Lady Victoria Darkwood, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, let's see. I'm 5'4", blue eyes. Just kidding.
So hang on a second. Hang on for 1 second, Victoria. We got our host, our co-host coming on tonight, Ms. Pam Harris.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
So, all right. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Victoria.
All right. So I was born and still in Boston, Mass, born and raised, true Bostonian. So you may hear a little bit of the Boston accent. I don't know. Everybody says I have it, but I don't know. So, I started CMPS. It was a kind of cool thing that happened to me. So in 2004, I answered an ad in the paper that was looking to start a paranormal group. And it wasn't too far from me. So I went to the place to meet the founder at the time. And at the time there was 10 of us. And, we ended up, forming a group, Central Mass Paranormal Society. We started out in private residence, which the very first investigation that we did, we got phenomenal evidence and a picture that I still have to do a watermark for it before I present it out. But so, we were doing residential investigations, historical places, and then, slowly the founder was getting, medical issues. So she asked me if I would just take over Central Mass Paranormal Society. And here we are.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what do you find more interesting, residentials or actually haunted locations?
So the thing was, residentials we were getting a lot of them because at the time, the only live TV show that was out there was TAPS. So we were having a lot of, families reach out to us to ask for help. And then eventually the residential areas slowed down a little bit. And then we went more into haunted locations. With residential, you get a little bit emotional, especially if it comes to helping kids or, something, they fear that something demonic is happening in their their house. So, it is a little bit more involved with residential because you have to you have to have them sign something that's, for legal issues, things like that, if something happens. So I typically like going to haunted locations myself.
What's the most interesting thing that you've come across?
Well, geez, I have several stories. Where should I start? My very first investigation that we went to, it was a residential house. It was a ranch house. And what happened was house before then was actually a funeral home. So, and we didn't know that until we started talking with the owners about it. As we went into the living room, we noticed that there was a big rug on the floor area. And as we lift the rug up, there was the chute, the actual door on the floor. What they used to do is they used to open it up. And then that's how they would bring the bodies down through the chute to the basement area where they used to preserve the body. So that was a surprise to us. And then as we started going downstairs, the lights were out, and one of my investigators say, I hear something. She turned around and she snapped the picture. And then the picture ended up being, it looks like an undertaker, actually. And I will get a watermark for it so that I could show everyone. So that was, for our very first investigation, that was like an moment,
Yeah, I would say so. That'd be very cool.
Yeah, definitely.
So have you ever been somewhere that no one even said that it was haunted, but when you went there, you found things out that they did not know?
So another investigation that I went to was basically, another residential place that they were experiencing things that they didn't understand, things moving and, certain things that were going on. And I didn't realize at the time that that was actually a police station beforehand. When I walked into the place, all of a sudden I started feeling like this tightness in my chest to the point that I was starting to buckle over. And it probably stayed with me for about 2 or 3 minutes, and then it left. And then I proceeded to go into the living room, and then all of a sudden I just started like bawling my eyes out, and I had no idea. I had no control over it whatsoever. And that lasted another 5 minutes. So everything cleared out. As we were heading out, we found out that not only did that used to be a police station, but in actuality, a police officer was actually shot in the chest right there. And he ended up passing away. But to find out also that the reason why I was bawling my eyes out is that an older man used to live there, and his wife got really sick and she ended up passing away. So he was still overcoming the emotion and very sad of her death.
Wow.
So
I'm sorry.
I was going
Go
to say,
ahead.
so that means you're empath. So you're feeling some of the emotions that's coming around from when you were there.
I do. For me, it's a little hard because I believe that I have other abilities as well. I'm just trying to figure out them, myself. But it's hard for me. I get affected in a lot of places. I get affected in antique shops. I get affected in, cemeteries, and, it's several places that, I do feel the emotions. And when I first started noticing these and started actually feeling them, I went to the doctor and I had, an EKG and all the medical treatment as possible to be sure, because I was thinking at first it had something heart related because it's in the area where the heart is.
Right.
But everything just came back normal. I was 100% healthy.
Wow.
So that heavy feeling was part of your being empath.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've experienced that by walking into a room and you could barely breathe. So I do know what that feels like.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Pam.
I was going to. So, have you recently been having different? Um, what do I want to call it? Um, Different interactions with different abilities that you did not know that you had recently?
Um, Another thing that a lot of people say that a clear sentence as well, because not only do I feel them, but I actually, it's hard to describe. Like my whole life, I was an artist, and I drew pictures, and I wrote things down as they come to me. But I actually drew some pictures of people that I never even met that just came to me, and then later find out that they're actually people that passed away years and years and years ago. So, I mean, I have that, I could go into an investigation and all of a sudden I just start like drawing or I start writing things. But the other thing is I could be in a grocery store or like somewhere else and all of a sudden I get like all these voices that are trying to talk to me. It's not all the time, but it's just sporadic.
Yeah.
I got not the voices, but right after I had my first Monarchy, right, I was walking through Walmart and I could feel the energy off everybody. It
Mm-hmm.
was like bouncing around like a pinball, and it was like whoa.
Yeah.
And finally, by the time I got to the end of my Monarchy rides, it finally settled down, and it's actually helped a lot that I have because it helps me ground to everything around me. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a really good trait to have. And my Reiki mentor bestowed those upon me before, I left the team a while back. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely a good thing to have.
Yeah.
It is. It is. Like I already drew my spirit guides that came to me when I had a really tough time growing up. So I know who they are. Um, so yeah, it's I just don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: since you do know your spirit guides, like
Mm-hmm.
I know mine,
Mm-hmm.
do they teach you things like mine does?
So my spirit guides kind of lose patience with me because I'm a type of a person that just wants it now and I'm not patient and I want it right now. And every single time I want to do something, they say, no, no, wait a minute. You
Yeah.
need you need to slow down. You're not ready.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, it's up to them, but I'm very impatient.
Well,
Yeah.
they say patience is a virtue.
I know.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah.
That's very true. Yeah.
So, do you dabble with both dark and light as well?
So when I was younger, I would say teenager, I was going through a really dark time. The people that used to take care of me, which I considered my grandmother and my grandfather, but they weren't biologically my parents, my grandmother and grandfather. So when they passed, I was having a tough time at school. I felt, really isolated. So I ended up, I was rumbling through my mother's cabinet and I found a witchcraft book. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. Like I've heard things about it, but I was like, oh my God, I could have all this power. I just know what to do. So then I just started doing the craft myself. I ended up opening up a Ouija board. Um, Ended up doing spells and I was just like in my own little world, because I felt comfort with it. It was something that I was doing on my own. But little did I know that I started feeling like dark energy around me, and, just negative things, was just happening around me. And that's when I truly, my spirit guides truly came through. And luckily I got out of it. But yes, I do, I do still practice, but I'm mainly like Wiccan, I do herbs, and I do like potions and crystals and things like that.
So, do you think that all the trials and tribulations that you went through as a younger child um, may have heightened any of your senses?
I think it heightened it, but I honestly feel that I had it, when I was really young. My mother used to, and I believe my mother had it as well. Because, we always, would be in tune with each other. If something happened to one person, we would like get up right on the phone and see what's wrong, or, and I had that imaginary friend growing up, and I had like these long conversations with my imaginary friend. Whether or not I honestly had an imaginary friend or not, I don't know, but I feel that I had it much younger.
Yeah.
Do you
So,
know? Do you notice now, since you've gotten older and starting to understand things, of a conflict between the light and the dark sides, or can you actually balance?
I could actually balance right now. So every time, my spirit guides are always around me. I always feel them. I always feel protected. If there's any case that, I go out to a location and I feel threatened or anything like that, I do call them in, and I do a protection, chant to make sure that I'm okay. I never feel threatened. I never felt anything, negative since that incident.
Mm.
So,
I mean, I know everybody's different. I mean, I've experienced things a little different. I think I went through my darker side when I was younger, and
mm-hmm.
now I'm starting to go through my lighter side. And to keep things balanced, low paranormal exposure. I seen them at Wisconsin up at Broadhead this weekend. But yeah, I've got the markings for balance, so I'm able to go the dark side and the light side. So
Mm-hmm.
I think understanding both of them
Yeah.
gives you more knowledge, because then if you go into a situation, at least you understand where it's coming from or how to deal with it. So I
I
always thought
mean,
that's a good thing.
yeah. And I honestly do believe that, not necessarily demons, but I do believe that there's negative energies out there,
Oh yeah.
because, I had experienced offhand, so I do believe that there's negative energy out there.
And I
So
think that there's a lot of people that put out the negative
Mm-hmm.
that causes all this ruckus. So, because I believe if you put out bad, you get bad. So, um, sometimes there's so much of that going on in the world that, it's just like a whirlwind that's circling and people just get caught up in it.
Plus, too, when you're a teenager and you're going through the change, that kind
Yeah.
of heightens everything up as well. And that's what
Oh,
was
yeah.
happening to me as well. So,
Yeah.
I mean, even running into energy vampires, if you don't know what they are and they just start sucking your energy,
mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
they could be pretty detrimental in some ways.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, because
Definitely.
I ran into my fair share of them and learned what they are, and I just kind of leave them aside now. So I just don't deal with them anymore.
I actually haven't experienced any.
Yeah, I've ran into a few. But they just seem to want to drain you all the time and want, and
Oh, wow.
it doesn't work that way. So that's a good thing that I've understood what those were.
So, do you collaborate with other groups in investigations?
I do. I do collaborate with groups. Just recently, I went with Emmy from PDX, and Patty Adams, and Angelina from Bad to the Bone, and we actually visited Amherst Asylum not too long ago.
Cool.
Yeah, so they should be posting their videos soon on their YouTube. But yeah, so it was, Penhurst Asylum it was very interesting, very
I bet.
interesting experience. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the video.
Yeah, it
That'll
should
be
be
interesting.
coming. It should be more should be coming this coming weekend. So yeah, it was interesting, and again, it has a lot of history, and it unfortunately some horrible things happen there. So it has a lot of imprint as it is on it. Never mind, what you come across as well. So
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
think that different people have different um, situations that they run into. I don't think that the same two people usually don't have the same experience at the same place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we're all different. We all, and I think spirit chooses who they want to communicate with.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Exactly.
it's also how you interpret it and how you feel it too, because like I said,
Right.
it's different as well.
Right.
So that's
Yeah,
definitely
yeah, exactly. Because, I've been to a few times. My favorite is the S.K. Pierce house. That isn't too far from me. It's in Gardner. And, each time that we go, we experience something different. So it's not the same thing all the time, and particularly at Penhurst Amherst, when we went, right before there was a Paracon. So typically when there's a big event, it's usually quiet right afterwards. So,
Mm. So,
so
do you think that the spirit gets tired, or?
I don't know. I honestly don't. That's usually, that happened at S.K. Pierce house as well. It's like there was a big event, and then when we went right afterwards, it was completely quiet. So I don't know if they take a little break, or, they just say enough is enough for right now. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what happens.
Yeah.
well, either that or do you believe that maybe so many people's been there that it's too much sometimes and they don't get what they
Mm-hmm.
It is, and I start to wonder, like, I understand, because I was talking about this at my last podcast with Kenny Biddle, who was my guest. And we were talking about this house. I understand some locations, they charge a certain amount because they have to maintain the property, taxes, things like that. But then you get properties that charge like phenomenal fee,
right.
to have just people come in all the time. In all honesty, if I was a spirit and if somebody kept on bothering me every single day, I don't know what I would do.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd get ornery with them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I'd be pulling their ears or pulling the pant legs or all sorts of funny stuff because I like being a jokester when it comes to some things like that. I mean, especially if you want to do things, but
Yeah,
And I also think that a lot of times when it's super active, that there are spirits that don't get heard or recognized, I want to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
So they're trying to push their way through the crowd, like, to
and
make
that's
sure
the
that
thing
they,
too. Like when I usually go, I usually like ask something different, and like, what's your hobby, or what did you like to do, or something like that. Not what's your name, how old
yeah,
are you, what do you do? It's like a record.
right.
right.
And I also think that if they're recognized as still being here and
Mm-hmm.
treated that way, I think that, a regular conversation, I think you get more response.
Yeah, definitely.
I also kind of believe it depends on which people are actually there during the investigation too. I mean, if you have like clairvoyance, empaths, and stuff
Mm-hmm.
that's there in a mixture of people, I mean, that could actually heighten things up as well because, like I said, the energy's there and you're picking it up. So,
Mhm.
It'll
But
definitely make them.
sometimes, I mean, I find sometimes they don't want to talk to you. They try to run away from you because they know that somebody's coming in with abilities. Like there's been a couple of times that, and again, with the SK Pierce house, I felt that when I was upstairs, they would run downstairs, or when I was downstairs, they would run upstairs. It's like sometimes they play like a little like hide and seek with you as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've had them come over the Ovilus and tell me point blank they don't like me being in the room. So when I walk out of the room and go to another location in the house, the people that's in there, it just starts squawking. They just start
Yeah,
talking. Like they
that's
just don't want
cool.
me in there. So I go walk around for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do as well. I basically, I do like using equipment. I'm a true fan of dowsing rods. I like using the dowsing rods. I like using my IR camera, video recorded the basics. But I also like to go in and just, feel the energy around and kind of like use myself as a tool. So sometimes I'll go to places, I'll use minimum equipment. Sometimes I'll use more equipment, but I generally just fall back on myself and use myself as a tool.
That's exactly what I do, and
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of how I train the team too, because we've got clairvoyants and empaths and Wiccans on my team.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to be able to feel those senses, heighten those senses, understand what's going on there instead of just relying on equipment. So that's one
Yeah.
of the things I emphasize on, because equipment's not always as accurate as what you're feeling.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So you could be totally feeling something totally different, and from the question that's being asked, and it's like, wait,
Mm-hmm.
something's not right here.
Mhm.
There's something more here than what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, I have a hard time with the ghost box because I have a hard time with the frequency and what's actually the words that are coming out. So it takes me a while to actually work with that piece of equipment. Um, but I'm comfortable with everything else.
Yeah, I think when it comes to a spirit box, it really depends on what kind you have, who made it, you know,
Mm-hmm.
is it got white noise or not, because there's so many different ones out there, you know.
Hello, Adam.
Hi, Adam. Yeah, I think there's just so many different equipment out there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that if maybe tried a different one, you might be able to work with it a little bit better.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Have you came
Definitely.
They're not.
across? Oh, I was going to say, go ahead and finish.
I was just saying they are expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, but if you ever get the chance to use someone else's, you might see a difference.
Well, equipment in general is expensive,
I know every piece of it. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Jamie Lynn Keller, I seen her this weekend as well.
Yeah, I seen those pictures.
Nice.
Loved them.
Um, have you ever had like an attachment follow you home from an investigation?
Um, I actually have not, and I'm hopefully I'll never have. No, I
Right.
actually haven't not because what I do is I use I just do a chant, I sage, the around my car, the inside of my car, myself, I say a little chant for protection. But when I also go there as well, I make it clear that, they could interact with me, they could touch me if they want to, but they cannot follow me home. So
Yeah.
luckily I haven't had one.
I've actually had one follow me home, but not actually be attached to me. And it did some messed up stuff. I had an F-150. I lost the rear end of the truck on.
Oh my
And
God.
the whole back end of the truck locked up on me. And then 3 days later, I lost my job.
Holy moly.
Yeah, until I figured out what it was. And then finally I
Mm-hmm.
contained it and got rid of it. But I've had it do it once, and they've never done it again. So,
Wow. That's
Mhm.
crazy.
but yeah. So, what kind of spells have you performed? Have you done anything that's you would use for a client that would help them out, or is it just personal use only?
Um, so, I definitely recommend crystals to people. If I see that they need a certain type of crystals, I kind of like make a little goodie bag for them, and I give it to them. There's different stages of the moons that you could do, spells and potions for. I do like hair like potions to make it grow, like things like that, perfumes or I do use a lot of like essential oils and things like that. So yeah. So
I might have to take you up on that hair one.
Oh, that's hilarious.
yeah,
I mean,
I do.
I've got some spells in my arsenal as well that I've used before, but
Yeah, I mean it's just like, for happiness, for peace, for myself, just making sure everything, just stays in harmony. My friends ask me to do like tarot readings or like what impressions am I getting of them, and asking for second opinions, or they may want like for me to make like a little like perfume or a body spray, something like that. If there is a full moon or a new moon, I do charge them up as well. So
yeah, I definitely prefer crystals.
mm-hmm.
I like them a lot. I charge them, like you said, by the moon and stuff
Yep.
like that, and I meditate with them. And it seems like when you meditate with them, you'll pick up the frequencies with them, and that helps you out a lot as well. I've noticed.
Yeah, that's awesome. I actually just started using my crystal ball again. Right now, I'm at the stages that I just hold it and just feel comfortable with it. But very soon, I'm going to start using it as well.
I got to say something here real quick. Hey, Adam, I seen Jamie for the second time now. I told you I'd tie her up and bring her to you for a small fee. uh, that's kind of an ongoing joke with Jamie and Adam. It's fun. But
So,
yeah.
have you ever investigated in another state other than where you're at?
Just basically Penhurst is the only one that I've actually gone out of state for. I've been, and I wouldn't say it lazy, but I've been, busy here. So I've been doing a lot of local investigations in Massachusetts. So
Yeah.
I do want to venture out. Like I do want to go to the Hinsdale house. I do want to go even to the Conjuring house, so I do want to eventually travel.
If you definitely get down this way, we'll figure something out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Or if
Same
I get
here.
back that way.
I know.
Hello, Diane Mendez from Alabama.
Alabama.
So, but yeah, I that would be really cool. I like teaming up with other teams and
Yeah.
investigating with them to see how they do things, because then you learn new stuff as well. As long as you got an open mind and don't think it's okay, this is weird, this isn't, but you pick up some different stuff that actually might work better than what you've been doing.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, the reason why I started Paranormal Happy Hour is because I love talking to people. I love seeing what their interests are. I just love getting together with different people. And one of the things was my goal was just to have different groups from all around the world just to come on as guests, to share their experiences, trick the trade, see what they do differently from what I do in investigations. So, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I started Paranormal Happy Hour. But, it's just, when I thought of the idea a year ago, I was really nervous. I was like a deer in headlights. I had no idea how to use StreamYard. I had no idea how to do a podcast. So,
Well, I think you have a great show.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, but you should see me on my first show. I look like a deer in headlights. Maybe sometimes I look like that still, especially right after the intro, and it just always catches me off guard. I'm like, what? But I do, it's and people do want to come on the show to share their experiences. So
Yeah, that's great.
yeah, I do want to start. I mean, my plan is actually to go to locations and do my podcast live.
Oh,
That's
that would be super
honestly,
cool.
that's what I honestly would love to do. I have a couple of lined up right now that I'm still working with, but that's what absolutely I would love to do is do it live.
Yeah, that would be super cool.
Make sure you got a Wi-Fi connection. I mean, sometimes you get out in the field
Yeah.
and you'll get interference from your location as well, because we've had that happen to us. So that's kind of one of those things.
Yep.
You might be able to go live for the whole time, and then some energy will pop up, and next thing you know, you're cutting out, but you can't help it.
I know. Yeah, definitely. But that's what I would love to do. It's my goal.
Yeah.
Yep, we all been there.
He's been there too.
Yeah, he has. Yeah.
That's one of the things like I do with this show, because I like talking to people. I like bringing teams on that haven't been heard of or just starting out, and actually meeting other people as well and learning some different stuff. I mean, I've met a lot of people since I've been doing podcasts, and I'm friends with quite a few of them.
Yeah,
I know, and it's weird. It's like I was the only child, so I was very secluded in my little bubble, and I never talked to anybody. But now I swear I could basically talk to a stranger down the street now. Hey, how you doing? It's like one of those
See
things.
What podcasting does for you? Look at
it. It just brought me right out of my shell. Now you can't shut me up.
Eternal Paranormal. Hey, Sean, thanks for coming out to see all of us friends and got home and unpacked and relaxed and editing. Yeah, I loved seeing you guys this weekend. It actually made my weekend.
That's awesome.
There.
So it's funny that you said that you were out of your shell. So after the show, we need to talk.
Okay.
Because I have been writing things down that I'm getting off of you, so we'll see.
Like before, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tarot cards, you do tarot cards as well, like being Pam. So how long have you been doing tarot cards?
I honestly have to say, ever since I talked to Pam, I've been doing them when she was a guest on my podcast. Yeah, I've been doing them. I haven't, and it's been interesting. I just go with what I feel represents the card. I mean, I don't go through the book and saying, what does this card mean? What is this card? I just tell it how I feel that the cards are. So
there are some decks that comes with the book that you actually have to read it from. So I do have a lot of those, but I'm glad to hear that you're doing that.
I know. And I just started my crystals again. I have so many crystals, but it's funny. Like every time, like I went to my hairdresser the other day and I'm like, you know what? You really need these crystals. And I just gave her a bunch of crystals.
Yeah. Thank you, Diane. Thank you.
Hey, Diane.
Yes. Pam is very good at what she does.
Yeah.
Pam actually got me started reading tarot cards.
Really?
She actually gave me my first deck. So she got me.
Yeah, I have a couple of decks, although I really want to get the deck that really talks to me, like says I'm here. So because I don't feel as connected to these decks than I should feel. So I'm just keep on looking to see an actual deck that I really like.
And I ran into that before too. I would get a new deck and think, I'm not really connected to it, but the more you use it, the more you are really connected to it, and not really beginning, but sometimes it just takes a little bit of opening up to it to be able to accept it. So
yeah, definitely.
I think one of the cool things with the tarot deck that Pam gave me is, like, I've noticed with me and Pam, we'd be doing tarot cards together and we will actually turn up the same cards for people.
Yes.
Her being where she's at, I'm being here. her doing her reading first, and then all of a sudden I'll flip my cards over because I'll leave mine face down until she's done, and they happen to be the same cards she has.
Yeah. And
So,
that deck actually has 4 different kinds in it. Oh, good.
That's awesome.
yeah, singing bowls are great. I
Yeah,
love.
that is a
I've
game
not
changer.
tried those. Yeah, I
Yeah,
haven't tried
it is
those.
a game changer, I'm telling you.
They
It's a meditation game changer for anyone who has problems doing that.
Yeah.
they
For me, it's awfully hard for me to even like sit down and meditate. Like I'm like all over the place all the time.
That's
So I
where
just
the
have
singing
to,
bowls will help you.
I
Diane
know,
is
because
the
I
same
just
way.
have to take time to like just sit down and have me time and just focus on
Yeah,
meditation,
because you don't have enough patience.
Of course. There we go. See, I don't have enough patience. Yeah,
Yeah,
there we go. Because my spirit guides come to me all the time. They're saying you're doing that wrong, doing that wrong. So in a way, I'm like, why do I need meditation? But yeah, you did need
yeah,
meditation
you
just
do.
to align yourself and everything.
Yes.
I know.
Yeah. Even if it's just 5 minutes, you'll see a difference. I mean, I usually tell people 5 or 10 minutes to start out. So,
even if you have to break it up like 5 minutes in the morning,
Mhm.
right,
5 minutes
right.
later. But I mean, I one thing I didn't notice more is when I was meditating and I was using the
Yeah, yeah,
crystal and
yeah,
using the singing bowls,
Yes,
things did make a big difference.
yes,
They actually do make a big
yeah,
difference.
yeah, yeah,
yes. That's
yeah.
great, Diane. I'm happy to hear
Definitely.
that.
I need to try them.
I actually I actually play singing
I
bowls all
want to
night
get
long.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, right.
Yep,
The 10 minutes will do it. I mean, I can't even make it through 10
Yeah.
minutes of the singing bowls and I'm asleep. I have a hard time sleeping. So
Really?
if I use
See, I
those,
don't know.
yes, I don't sleep. I do
Hmm.
not sleep. I'm usually up 2 or 3 days a week
I
straight.
think I think the singing bowls for me brings more up the dreamscape. You know,
I think it's different for everybody,
being able to see my guides more often when I'm playing them because
Hmm.
it's a communication thing for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, the times I do meditate, I usually just, use some meditation music off of my phone. And
Right.
within the first 5 minutes, I start crying because then all like my animals come in and greet me. And
Uh,
then it's like one big like thing. So I'm like, oh, do I really want to go through that?
yeah, it can be emotional, but you will get past that part,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
It's just being able to do it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not the same for everybody. So the time spread is not going to be the same for you as it is for me. And,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
So
definitely.
I have a question for you there. Um, since you're clairvoyant and empath,
Mm-hmm.
which I am clairvoyant and empath as well, I also can feel the energy around me. Are you able to pick up energy fields around you?
I can. Um, but for some reason I have a hard time sometimes if it's not through tarot, like if I don't pick up a card for myself and read myself, I cannot read myself. And I don't know if you have the same issue. Like I have a hard time reading myself. I don't know why.
I
I think,
normally I normally don't even try to read myself. When I come into a situation I can't handle, I always call Pam. It's like, Pam, pick some cards for me.
thank you, Diane. Thank you so much. So much love to you. Um, yeah, and honestly, I have not been doing it that long.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't even know. Is it 2 years?
It's probably been going on 2 years.
Yeah, probably. Um, and it's just what it is to me. I don't think that there's any rules, there's anything like that because what one card might mean to you may not be
Mhm.
the same for him,
Mhm.
so, and it, because we're all different, and we can pick up different things from different people. So I think that's where it comes into whatever that card means to you, but more importantly, it is to what it is to the person that's receiving it. So whatever it means to them, if it resonates with them with what you're getting, then you're actually connecting with them. And that's just you know, a way of clarifying that you are connecting with them.
Yeah.
That's just my simple rendition.
Yeah, you actually pick up on people a lot quicker when reading tarot cards than I do. Normally, I pick up more on people when I'm standing right with them.
Mm.
I've been noted for actually going up and actually touching somebody and actually seeing visions of stuff. And I actually freaked out a young lady one time because I told her to quit crawling out her bedroom window, and her friends looked at her like, "What the hell?" And she was actually crawling out her bedroom window, and her dad actually put cameras up. And I told her, I said, the only reason why you get away with that is because your mom sticks up for you, 'cause she used to do it when she was younger, and her friends just freaked out.
Wow,
But yeah,
that's crazy.
Well, I had like a really, I wouldn't say it was hard for me, but not too long ago I had, a family member that passed. She's been sick for a while, but I was driving home and all of a sudden I got like this incredible like pain like in my chest, in my shoulders, in my legs. I mean, to the point that I was in so much pain, I almost went to the hospital. Um, but something just told me, just go home, relax, see what happens. Within an hour is when we get the phone call that, she passed. So I don't know at that point if I was honestly experiencing what she was going through before she passed. I don't know, but it was crazy.
And that can happen.
Yeah.
I mean you're that well connected.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Like
you
right now, I kind of feel a little bit, that's why I keep on stretching and stuff. So I don't know what's going on now, but yeah.
um so I wrote down a few questions. So if you um I know you use different tools, but what is your
Mhm.
favorite tool to use? Is it dowsing rods?
Mm, I would probably say out of all of them, I would probably say the dowsing rods. And the thing is, like, a lot of people try to debunk them because they're saying, that the energy of the rods is what honestly makes your hands move when you're holding them. And I kind of have like the portable ones, so they're a little bit flimsy than the actual ones. But I do believe in them because I myself know that I'm not moving them when I hold them in my arms. And
Yeah.
I've got a lot of positive interactions with them. When I was at the Global Ghost Hunt last year, I went to the Wichita Murdoch Whitney house, and I used the dowsing rods, and we connected with a little boy that passed away there. And it was as plain as clear. I mean, he was crossing them when we were saying to cross them, he was separating them when we were saying to separate them. So I do believe in them.
Yeah, I do too. Um, I'm waiting to get some. I can't wait to get them.
I've had
I was going to get the light up ones, but I actually looked at them up close. Someone had them when we went on the investigation, and I don't know if they're kind of like the ends are kind of plastic. So it's like a plastic piece. The holder's plastic, and
Oh,
then the end's plastic. But then the metal rod, the actual metal rod is underneath it, but it's kind of like glued.
yeah,
So, but they do light up. So, which is great at nighttime if you're doing them.
yeah,
And I've heard that, if you, particularly if you use them, around, uh, kids that pass, sometimes they like interacting with them a lot better. But I just don't know if I want to buy them because, I have seen them in person and they do look a little flimsy. And it's funny because I was going to order a pair. And I think you could only get them now, like in the UK. And they were like, well, you may have to glue it back together once you get them because they are very fragile. And I'm like, okay.
No, that just answered the question, didn't
Yeah,
it?
exactly.
I've actually seen people use the light up ones on investigations down at Broadhead Manor. I know somebody.
Okay.
They are a little different, and to me, my opinion of them, I think I'd prefer the regular standard ones because it doesn't have that protective plastic over it, where the energy is kind of. It's actually going straight to the rod. So I think I'd prefer the original version of the dowsing rods over the light up ones.
Yeah. They just look like they might hinder on how they react. You know what I mean? With having the weight on them from the plastic. And I would be kind of sketchy about that, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know if it'd be that because I actually got to dabble with them a little bit, but like I said, the feeling's different from the originals, and it's got that energy change because, like I said, I can feel the energy shifting. So I'd rather feel the energy shift than have the plastic, which is an insulator, to kind of interfere with that. I'd rather have it just be straight metal.
Yeah.
It's getting dark in here. I got to turn my light on.
But yeah, I've actually experienced that. I had a teammate, she has some original ones, and we actually come across something strange. And I don't know if you've ever come across it. But she was actually holding her dowsing rods in front of her like this. And I was taking my finger and I was doing this, and that dowsing rod would follow my finger. And it would go back and forth. And then we started experimenting. I was like, okay, maybe it's her. So let me hold them because she can deal with energy and wield energy like I do.
Yeah.
So I was holding them and she was doing the same thing. She was moving them. So I was like, okay, so now it's the two of us has got the same thing going.
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, I want you to think of something. I'm going to think of something. I want to see what comes up on these rods. Well, the rods, when we were doing that, kept doing this. They wouldn't totally cross, but they wouldn't go all the way, in either. So then I was like, okay, I'm game. What were you thinking? She said, I wanted to cross. And I said, I didn't want them to. And that's why they were doing this.
Oh.
So I thought that was real interesting that we come across that night. And plus, we were at Broadhead Manor when that happened, and it actually has a ley line running through it with some of the limestone blocks in there. So I don't know if the energy was actually really magnetized in there, affecting that from how we were dabbling with them.
Yeah, yeah.
But we were definitely experimenting with something I haven't seen with them before, and I thought it was pretty interesting. So
that's awesome. Yeah, yeah. Interesting.
So where would you like to go that you have never been?
God, I want to travel around the world. Like I would love to bring my podcast on the road. I would like to go to, Ireland, to the castles. I would like to go to Scotland. I would like to go to London. It's a lot of places I would like to go.
Them are all three on my bucket list.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's when I had my experience I went through at the SK Pierce house. I ended up finding out that I was in my past life. I was in the Victorian era. So it's funny how now I always liked. I was fascinated with the Victorian, in the SK Pierce house. The wallpaper and everything's absolutely beautiful. So I kind of the old historical houses, residential properties, castles, mansions. Yeah. I love that stuff. Stuff.
Me too.
I'd like to go to Ireland. I've had over there,
Yeah.
I'd like to see the Celtic circles over there. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to.
It's definitely
Well,
on
you just need to buy a traveling.
I know, I
Get
know.
with it.
Just get the money and travel. I tell
I
you,
hear ya.
I would do it. I would just pack everything up and go.
Yeah, I would too. Just let me know when you're going, so I know when to be ready, so you can
But you
take
know
care.
what? So my actual dream is to have my podcast on the road, but actually explore different cultures like voodoo
Yeah.
beliefs and different religions and things like that. As well as, historical buildings, abandoned or historical. It doesn't have to be necessarily paranormal, but that's my true goal that I want to do.
Yeah, I believe that our abilities come from Indians. I
Mm-hmm.
believe that they are the original per se owners.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe they're the ones that give it to us. I don't know if that's true or not. That's just what I believe. But um, I think that, you know, being able to interview and investigate different types of tribes and see how different they are would be so
Mm-hmm.
interesting, you know, and to know that, you know, to just have the knowledge that they all store, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just think it would be awesome to do something like that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's my goal.
if I
Hopefully.
ever had if I ever had time ever to go back to explore, I'd have to say to be the Egyptian times
Yeah,
with
Absolutely.
Egyptian
yeah,
magic. I would definitely be
Mm-hmm.
all for that because I know the Egyptians actually dealt with a lot of crystals back in the day. They've also had energy that they said they couldn't have been possible, but I know that they've
Mm-hmm.
had there.
right.
Um, and me and Pam's talked about this before. There's a guy named Billy Carson that's been talking a lot about some of the Egyptians and the uh, Inaki,
Okay.
uh, those guys. And some of the stuff that he was saying has been confirmed because I would have dreams about it before he was even saying it. So some of the
Mhm.
things he said, I've actually seen in dreams.
Mm-hmm.
I would really love to talk to that man.
Yeah,
Yeah, Egyptians really. Yeah, I have a whole bunch of Egyptian actually statues here. Um, I've been always and the papyrus too. It's fascinating. How they built the pyramids and what tools they had, and it's fascinating.
Yeah,
Of course, with me, even the embalming. I mean, that's fascinating.
I.
Like,
You know
like
what?
what
I've
did they
always
use for?
wanted.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I've
see
crazy.
one of the
always wanted
things
to see how.
one of the things
Mm-hmm.
I like. I mean, one of my spirit guides is actually Anubis. I like Anubis. He's
Mm-hmm.
taught me quite a few things. But I've also known that when they embalmed back then, they were trying to preserve that body in order to
Hmm.
restore it, and they put their essence into another body. So when that one wore out, they turned around and come back to the other one.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they actually left or wherever they went, they kept all their belongings together with their body. So when they returned, that's what was supposed to be there. So it's going to be real interesting if these people do come back and their
Yeah,
stuff's not there.
right.
They're going to be very unhappy.
Well, it's just like organ donating. People say I might need it
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
I come back.
Yeah.
Well,
Exactly.
I mean, I don't believe so, but I think you have something new when you come back. So,
Yeah. That's very true.
so
Yeah.
why not help someone if you can't now?
Yeah, that's true.
That's my own belief. So that's another story.
Oh, another story.
All righty, guys. It's been an hour already. We could go a
Wow.
little
Oh,
longer if you
yeah.
like, or we
Ticking.
can step down and we can talk backstage for a little bit as well.
Okay.
Um, so Yeah, I'd like to thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, it's been a pleasure.
We're definitely going to have you back on again. I find some of the things that you talk about very interesting, especially the fact with the crystals and some of your
Mm-hmm.
spells and stuff. Maybe we can swap some ideas.
Oh, definitely.
So,
Yeah.
because I do like stuff like that. And I like to thank Pam for coming on the show, being my co host tonight.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you, Pam.
And Diane Mendez for the invite.
Diane, I think that you meant to say that you were free, just so you know, because I wrote it down. I wrote down free for you, Diane.
So, is there anything you'd like to say before we put you backstage there?
No, it's been an honor to be on, and I'll keep everybody posted on what I'm up to. My YouTube channel is always up and running. I'm going to have my podcast this coming Wednesday at 5:30 Eastern. So, yeah, it's all good.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
if you happen to see somebody on, that we've got on the show that you'd like to talk with, and holler at me. I'll send you a link and let you hop on.
That sounds good.
But
And so, what is the name of your page so everybody knows?
So, so I have Paranormal Happy Hour on Facebook. I have a TikTok. It's actually by Susan Victoria. And then on my YouTube channel, it's Central Mass Paranormal Society on YouTube. And that's this one page. It has all the investigations and Paranormal Happy Hour on it. I kind of combined everything into one. So
The Central Mass one?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
I definitely think it's very cool. So if you haven't seen Miss Lady Darkwood, go check out her page. She's got some interesting topics she talks about as well. So,
very interesting.
Thank you.
Love talking to you.
So, like I said, I'd like to thank you for coming on the show tonight. I'm going to set you backstage here, and we'll talk here in a few minutes.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Well, Pam.
I know. She is so interesting.
I like her. She's cool.
I do too.
Really cool.
I really like her.
It'd definitely be neat to have her on an investigation.
Oh, definitely. Yes.
And I like her robe, but I want one. I want one of her robes that's got black on one side, white on the other side.
Oh, I see.
The balance. That's what I want.
Okay. The balance. Okay.
The balance. So anyway, I'd like to give a big shout out to the guys, like I said, at Broadhead Manor this weekend. We had a great time. If you ever get a chance to go up there and visit and go on an investigation, go up there. Because like I said, I've seen a lot of great people up there, and a lot of good friends of mine were up there this weekend. And we definitely will be doing some mergers with some of them before the end of the year as well. So I'm looking forward to that. And I've met a lot of new people as well. So I'm looking forward to merging with them, because one of the new teams, it was Haunted Happy Hour Inc. They will actually be up in Broadhead with us in September, along with Eternal Paranormal. So we'll be live when that comes too. And then the following week, I will actually be with Pam and Adam and Maddie up in Ohio.
And Lori and Leslie.
Yep.
I'm hoping.
Yeah. Leslie said she was coming, as far as I know. So it's definitely going to be interesting. So
it is.
I'm definitely looking forward to that. And then we got the deal in Keysburg, August 3rd, with Jamie Lynn Keller at the Masonic Lodge too.
Yeah, that's cool.
And the team and I have decided that we're going to start doing some investigations here pretty soon again and fire them back up, because we've been busy with a lot of stuff going on. But we're going to have some investigations pop up here, hopefully by the end of the month. So we'll have a few good ones come up. So
that's great.
I like to say thank you for everybody that's joined the page, following. Like I said, go follow Lady Victoria Darkwood. She does a great show, and thanks for joining our page, and please like and share. And like I said, Pam, thanks for joining tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
And being host. And we will see you actually tomorrow night.
Tomorrow.
have another show, and it will be with Jamie Lynn Keller, and we'll be talking about something special going to happen. So check us out tomorrow night at 7:00. We will be live, and me and Jamie will be talking about what's going on.
All right.
All right. We'll see you all later. Have a great weekend, guys.
Have a great week.